welcome to our dear speaker and guest, Mr. Otto Scharmer.
Thank you so very much for having me on, Shirin. What would the role of institutions in the 21st century look like? The role of institutions in the 21st century should be one that is relevant to the challenges that we face. The perspective I'm taking on that is really systems thinking. Systems thinking really starts with a very simple distinction, which is symptoms at the top and root issues below the waterline. So what are the key challenges that we face right now? And I would say one way of describing them is in terms of the three divides you see at the top here. The social divide, like polarization and inequities, ecological divide, kind of climate, the planetary emergency really we are facing right now. And the first 10 SDGs really linking to the social divide. The next 5 really spelling out some key dimensions of the ecological divide. And you could say the last 2 SDGs really focusing on or addressing the deeper foundations based on which we build community and based on which we build society. Number 1, you cannot change a system unless you transform consciousness. You can't transform consciousness unless you make a system see and sense itself. Number 3, you can't lead a system unless you sense and actualize the future as it emerges, embodying the future now. That's really the heart of, I would say, what true entrepreneurship and true social entrepreneurship has always been. Dialogue is not just people talking to each other. Dialogue is the capacity of a system to see itself. And that's really what I think the essence of systems thinking is. In the future, we have to go to awareness-based collective action, by which I mean bringing together all the stakeholders and moving them into a collective sense-making and co-creative process, as it was discussed before, and as it needs to be done right in specific places and regions in context-specific way. That's what we are trying to do. Planetary healing and civilizational renewal. Moving stakeholder relationships from toxic or transactional to co-creative. The only way to do that is if you provide the support infrastructures for that.
What you said, you cannot change the system unless you transform consciousness, which is mindset. Could you give us more detail about that? How to change this mindset? What kind of questions should we ask to ourselves, but not only us like individuals, but also organizations, business, or governments?
Often the same people reenact the same problems, just in a new structure if you don't change the mindset. The only way of doing that is through listening. We see a lot of leadership failure around us, colossal leadership failure. What is at the core of that? It's a lack of listening. How is it that you can change the mindset of someone, put them on a journey, put them into a situation that they think is relevant to the challenge that they face, and help them to listen, not only with an open mind, that's already difficult enough, but also with an open heart to really sense into someone else's experience. Personally, and when you shift the way you listen, your experience and your relationships are shifting. And when your experience and your relationships are shifting, everything is shifting.
Do you think that even though the system is able to change in organizations or in civil society, what about governments?
I think government and governance is a fantastic example how listening and dialogue can be built into the core process, how we evolve our systems of governance to be more responsive to the communities, to be more responsive also smaller parts of the communities that are excluded right now. All has to do with listening and with being more intentional in listening to not only whoever shows up, kind of those organizations that have the most powerful lobbying groups, but really being intentional in to be more inclusive in your process of listening. And yes,
basically what you are saying is listening is not enough as such. You also have to have the right tools. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
That is a very widely shared sense, those 3 things. We are moving in the wrong direction. We are hitting the wall. I want to be part of a different story, but I don't know how. On the how side of things, what's missing today, everyone knows in this decade, so we are in a decade of transformation. In order to address the climate and the biodiversity and the inequity crisis that we are facing, we need to transform our systems within the next few years in very significant ways. ways. What we don't have is transformation literacy. We know everything about the what. We don't know about the how to make this work. So on the SDGs, we know what we should be doing, but we are not doing it. We need to learn how to organize and connect with people with whom we disagree. We need to learn how to organize around the commons that we need to regenerate in our communities. We need to shift our relationship to really change how the overall system is operating. As human beings, I mean, many people say, ants and, they're organized by a much higher collective intelligence. And we need to have quality holding spaces for convening stakeholders and really going through this outer and inner journey of kind of understanding our systems through all the different in systems thinking, that we need to come together and we need to listen to each other's perspectives.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Scharmer.
So do I. Thank you so much.